Hello everyone, I am Kirti. As you know, I have started a series on quantum chemistry on my channel, and my previous video was on waves because I thought it's important for us to understand the concept of waves clearly before we venture into the world of quantum chemistry. So this video is going to be on the failure of classical mechanics, the failure of classical physics, where the classical physics actually failed and why the scientists had to come up with a new theory called quantum theory. So let's begin without wasting much time. In late 19th century, scientists believed that all the fundamental discoveries in the area of science had been made, and there is only now scope for the improvement of the experimental techniques to obtain good, accurate experimental results. So, this attitude of scientists to some extent was justified because science during that time really gained momentum and some remarkable discoveries were made in the area of science, like the structure of benzene was solved by Kekule by introducing the concept of resonance, and the idea of Gibbs free energy was added to the concept of thermodynamics. The area of physics was already very strong with the Newton's three laws of motion. Those are V is equal to U plus AT, S is equal to UT plus half AT square, and V square minus U square is equal to 2AS, where V is the final velocity, U is the initial velocity, A is the acceleration, and S is the displacement. So these three laws of motions govern almost the motion of all the objects in the universe. Now, other scientist, Maxwell, he further strengthened the area of physics by unifying the laws of electricity and magnetism, and he gave his four famous Maxwell's equations. Now, the idea of light was not clear during that time. It was also made clear by Maxwell. He said that light is nothing but perpendicularly oscillating electric and magnetic fields. So when the scientists were celebrating all these discoveries, suddenly new problems started popping up. So what those problems were? Actually, they were nothing, but there were few experiments done, and the results of those experiments could not be explained on the basis of classical theory. So let me write it down on board what those experiments were. Those were black body radiation curves, black body radiation curves. The second was photoelectric effect, and the third was variation of specific heat capacity with temperature. With T. So, before moving further, let me clear one thing. I am going to take at least 2 to 3 classes on the failure of classical mechanics, because I feel if we understand this failure of classical mechanics properly, only then we can appreciate quantum mechanics and put some extra efforts to learn it. So, before moving further to understand black body radiation curves, first we must understand what is a black body. But before that, let me clear one thing. Whenever I use the term light in the class, and in this particular class, I refer to all the electromagnetic radiations that are ranging from cosmic to radio waves. Okay. So let us continue with our discussion of black body. So what happens when light falls on any object? When light falls on any object, there are 3 phenomena that occur. First is reflection. Light strikes the surface of the object and it comes back in the same medium. This phenomenon is reflection. Second is the light passes through the object and enters to the other side of the medium. This phenomenon is transmission. And thirdly, the light gets absorbed inside the object, which is called absorption. So, whenever light strikes any normal body, the body reflects some portion of the light, it absorbs some portion of the light and it transmits the rest of the light. But when light hits or falls on black body, what happens? It absorbs the entire light that fall on it, irrespective of the wavelength, and there will be no reflection and transmission. That means reflection will be 0 and transmission will be 0 for a black body. So let us define black body now. Okay, black body is any body or any object that allows all the light and absorbs it internally. Absorbs it internally, irrespective of the wavelength. Irrespective of lambda. But people also define black body as any body that absorbs all the radiations and that emits all the radiations. But I tell you, we need not have to mention the emission portion in the definition of a black body, because let me put it this way. Say if I have any object and if I incident it with some radiation, what happens? The object will absorb the radiation and then it gets heated up. As a result, its temperature rises up. So, in order to maintain a thermal equilibrium with the surrounding, it starts emitting the radiations. So, emission is a consequence of this absorption. But we don't have to put it in the definition of a black body. Definition of black body is basically any body that allows all the light and absorbs it internally. So, okay, if you ask me if there is any black body on the earth, I would say no, because so far no such body has found which absorbs all the radiations. But there are materials which absorbs 99% of the radiations, like carbon black and platinum black are the materials that absorb 99% of the radiation that fall on it. Carbon black and platinum black. Okay, now scientists wanted to design a black body for their purpose of experiment. So let's see how did they do it. For that, they took a hollow spherical cavity. Okay, they took a hollow spherical cavity with a small hole, and the interior of this cavity was coated with carbon black. So, this is carbon black. Now, when you allow any radiation through this hole inside the cavity, what happens? In the first go, the light strikes here and 99% of it is absorbed and only 1% is reflected. Now in the second go, here the 99% of the 1% is absorbed and only 0.01% is reflected. And in the third go, only 0.001% is reflected. This way, the multiple reflections inside the body causes the absorption of almost 100% of the light. Now, this setup can be considered as a black body for some practical purposes. Okay. Now, as I told you, whenever any body absorbs radiation, it gets heated up and it starts emitting the radiations. Okay. So, this way the black body also starts emitting the radiations. Now, scientists wanted to find out how is the total energy of radiation distributed among its wavelengths. That means, say, if any radiation has energy, right? And radiation is not a single wavelength, it is a bunch of wavelengths. So, scientists wanted to find out how is this total energy of the radiation distributed among its constituent wavelengths. Okay. First, to check the energy of each lambda, we have to split this beam into its component wavelengths. So, how can we do it? By using a prism. We very well know that light when passes through a prism, it gets split into its component wavelengths, and this phenomenon is called dispersion of light. And the wavelength let me draw this first. Okay, when this passes through the prism, it gets split into its component wavelengths. I'll consider 6 wavelengths. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll label them as lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4, lambda 5, and lambda 6. The radiation which has higher wavelength is deflected less from the initial direction, and the radiation which has lower wavelength is deflected more from the initial direction. Okay, now scientists calculated the intensity of each lambda and they plotted this graph. Energy in terms of intensity. Okay, energy versus lambda. Okay, let me rub this because we don't need this now. Okay, they plotted this graph, energy versus or intensity versus lambda. Now we had 6 wavelengths, or say I will draw 7 wavelengths. Okay, 3, lambda 4, lambda 5, lambda 6, lambda 7. Now they calculated the energy of lambda 1, say it came out to be this much. Now they plotted it here. They calculated the energy of, or they measured the energy of, measured is the correct word, not calculated. They measured the energy of lambda 2 and it came out this much. And plot it here. Similarly, for lambda 3, this came out, the energy came out this much. For lambda 4, it's this much. For lambda 5, it's this much. Lambda 6, lambda 7. Okay. Now when I join these points, I get something like this. Okay. So this experiment was done at temperature T1. Now same kind of experiment was performed at higher temperature T2 and they got something like this. Sorry. This was at T2. Now they repeated the same experiment at still higher temperature T3 and they got this. You can notice one thing, that energy is not distributed equally among all the wavelengths of the radiation. Few wavelengths have higher energy and few have lower energy. Okay. So had it been distributed equally, we would have got something like this. The energy versus lambda curve would have been a straight line, but we have something which looks like a parabola or some other curve. So that means the energy is not distributed equally among its wavelengths. And you can notice one more thing, that at each temperature there is one wavelength which carries maximum energy. Okay, and I denote it with lambda max. Lambda max. I denote lambda max at T1 as lambda max T1, lambda max at T2 as lambda max T2, and lambda max at T3 as lambda max T3. Okay. Now at every temperature there is one wavelength which has maximum energy. Okay, this is all we can infer from this curves, and these curves obtained from the emission of black body radiations are called black body radiation curves. These are black body radiation curves which were observed experimentally. Okay. Okay, if we have any experimental data, what is the first thing that we try to do? We try to generalize the data and give it a mathematical form. Okay. So many scientists wanted to explain this black body radiation curves mathematically. So Wilhelm Wien was the first to make an attempt to explain these black body radiation curves. So what did he say? He said that as the temperature increases, there is a shift in lambda max towards lower value. We can also observe this. As the temperature rose up, the lambda max value shifted towards the left side, that means lower value. And he found out the product of lambda max and its corresponding temperature. So lambda max into lambda max at T1 into T1, lambda max at T2 into T2, lambda max at T3 into T3. So for all these products, he got this value. 2.98 into 10 power minus 3. What should be its units? It is the product of lambda and temperature. So its unit should be meter Kelvin. Okay. Now, say when A into B is a constant, what it implies? It implies that A is inversely proportional to B. So Wien said that this lambda max is inversely proportional to the temperature. So this law was called Wien's displacement law. Wien's displacement law and this constant value which is denoted by B is the Wien's displacement constant. So he said that as the temperature rises, lambda max decreases. So this law was perfectly obeyed by the black body radiation curves till certain value of wavelength, but it failed to obey at higher wavelengths. Now let me explain this. According to this Wien's displacement law, when temperature rises, lambda max is shifting towards lower value. When temperature falls down or when temperature decreases, the lambda max should shift towards higher value. Okay. So at T0 temperature, you should get some curve like this. This is at T0. At T minus 1, which is lower than T0, you should get curve like this. And you should get something like this. And this is at T minus 1. At T minus 2, you should get something like this. That means this lambda max should shift towards right as the temperature decreases. This T0, T minus 1 and T minus 2 just represent the temperature. They just say that these temperatures are lower than these temperatures. Okay, that is just a kind of representation. Or let me put it this way: T3 greater than T2 greater than T1 greater than T0 greater than T minus 1 greater than T minus 2. Okay, so this is what we should observe. And at T2, T minus 1 and T0, we should have one lambda which corresponds to maximum temperature. That means at each temperature we should have a wavelength that corresponds to maximum energy. But this was not found for wavelengths, for curves at higher wavelengths. So Wien's displacement law failed to explain these black body radiation curves at higher wavelengths. Even though this law failed, Wilhelm Wien, he received a Nobel Prize in 1911 for this law, because this law had a great application. That is, it could find the temperature of celestial bodies like Sun and some other stars. Let's see how did he do it. Now, what was Wien's displacement law? It is lambda max into T is equal to constant, or lambda max is inversely proportional to T. Let me write this form of Wien's displacement law. Lambda max into T is constant, which is B, and that B is 2.98 into 10 power minus 3 meter Kelvin. Now, Wien's found out the lambda max of the radiations that are coming from Sun. Those are 580 nanometers. And we know the value of B. That is 2.98 into 10 power minus 3. So can we find out T? Yes, T is equal to B over lambda max. B is 2.98 into 10 power minus 3 meter Kelvin. This will be 580 into 10 power minus 9 meter. If you solve this, you will get something near 5,800 or 5,800. Okay, I don't remember the exact value, even I don't have a calculator to calculate, but you will get something near 5,800 Kelvin. So this way, using his law, he could find the temperature of the Sun. See, I think it's great, because by using these mere experimental results and just paper and pen, he could find the temperature of the Sun, which is far distant from the Earth and which seems really practically impossible. Okay. So for this, he received Nobel Prize in 1911. With this law, we'll end this class here. In the next class, we shall see how Rayleigh and Jeans put their heart and soul together to explain these black body radiations mathematically using the ideas of classical physics. Okay, it's enough for today. See you in the next class.